What's your preferred input method to flick switches, control radios, etc. in VR? That is a pretty good question. This video is brought to you thanks to the generosity of our patrons. If you'd like to support HeliSimmer.com and all that we do, please visit patreon.com/HeliSimmer. Hey there everyone, Sergio from HeliSimmer.com. I have decided to take on some suggestions of some users and do videos where you ask some questions and I try to answer them the best I can. And the first question we have, it's actually pretty interesting. When we're simming with VR, we have this massive thing in front of our faces and we don't see pretty much anything at all to the outside world. Unless, of course, you use this small space here where the nose goes. But other than that, you're pretty much detached from the outside world. So how do we flick some actual physical switches? Well, to be honest with you, my preferred method is actually flipping the switches and doing everything in Virtual Cockpit. And to do that, I either use the mouse or the VR controllers. But there are a couple of hardware products I use. One of them is actually pretty small and the other one is a bit bigger. Let's start with the small one. This little thing here, this is the Knobster. This is called the Knobster. It's developed by Innovations, and I have actually done a video on it a few months ago. The Knobster is actually just this top part over here. I screwed it to a piece I had 3D printed so I could actually attach it to something. In my case, I am attaching it to the collective of the Pro Flight Trainer Puma. So I can have this knob or this Knobster very close to my left hand where I have the other buttons and the other switches for the Puma. The Knobster does something very cool. Not only it interacts with the Sim Innovations software where you can create your own virtual panels using your monitor, but Sim Innovations also developed a plugin for X-Plane in which you can have a small panel even inside VR, and when you interact with the Knobster you can see what's doing. Cool thing about it is that it can have several assignments for the Knobster. So I can, for example, have the Knobster preset to control my radio, but if I click here for 30 milliseconds, I can have access to the menu in which I can change what I want to control next by rotating one of the knobs, either the small one or the big one. So I can, for example, flip from the radio to navigate or something else, then I just click it and I can control the radios or anything else with this, right? So it's pretty handy. I don't have to actually see because I have it on my collective so I know where it is. This is a very cool piece of hardware. And other than my Pro Flight Trainer Puma, my VR set, this is what I usually use. Other than that, I just interact with the virtual cockpit. But I do know that a lot of you guys want to actually flip some switches. That's why I have another solution for you. This is the Cockpitworks VRCP-D. It's a full-blown panel that you connect to your computer by just using a USB cable. It has, well, a lot of switches, a lot of knobs, a lot of things that you can flick and switch and, just enjoy and use it on any of your sims. I have been using it with X-Plane. When Cockpitworks developed this panel, they had the Dreamfall Creations Bell 407 for X-Plane in mind. But the fact is that you can use this panel with any helicopter or any other aircraft. You can program any switches, any buttons, anything you want at will. Now, where do I place this when I'm playing? Well, this actually has some legs here. So I just position it next to my collective on the Pro Flight Trainer Puma. Now, this, along with the Knobster, gives me so many possibilities. Even though this replaces the Knobster in a lot of ways because I can actually control radios and GPS and whatnot as I have all the switches and everything here. It's really handy, But there's always a downside, which is how do I see the switches? Well, Cockpitworks thought about it, and they had VR in mind when they developed the panel. They have added some features that will help you recognize things just by touching them. For example, this bar over here lets you know exactly where you are in regards with the panel. You obviously have switches of different sizes, but Cockpitworks was also thinking about making them with different formats so we can recognize it just by touching them. There are, of course, other options on the market. Unfortunately, I don't have access to all of them, so I can review them and tell them what I think about them. In a general sense, I don't like to use external hardware when using VR. I just consider it a bit more immersive, because I am actually flipping the switches in the, well, actual cockpit. So what do you guys think? What is your preferred method to flipping switches in VR? If you have any comments, tips, trips, suggestions, or any questions for the next episode of Ask Me Stuff, just leave them out on the comment section down below. You'll also be able to find the links for both the Knobster and the VRCP panel down below, so you can see our more extensive preview or review of the products. I really hope you enjoyed this video. This is kind of an experiment to see if you guys like the format and if we have more questions for the next video, so don't be shy. I will see you all in the next video, so until then, take care and fly safe.